For centuries, the galaxy believed humans were only a legend, until the day the truth shattered every world. This is the story of the day aliens met humanity again, and nothing in the stars would ever be the same. The galaxy had not spoken the name of Earth in thousands of years. To most species, humanity was only a myth, an old tale whispered among younglings about a reckless, brilliant species that burned too brightly and disappeared too soon. Some laughed at the stories. Others feared them. But to everyone, humans were gone. That changed. One quiet evening in the orbit of a forgotten world, Captain Ryzek of the Drethi Union leaned back in his chair aboard the starship Silent. Fang. His reptilian scales glowed faintly under the bridge, lights as he stared at the incoming report. A single vessel had been detected entering the system, but its signature matched nothing in the Galactic registry. No Drethi design. No Council design. No pirate, no merchant. Strange, Ryzek hissed. Unknown drive patterns and metallic hull, not bioengineered. He frowned. Put it on screen, the alien crew gasped. The vessel was long, sharp-edged, and bristling with antennae and dishes. Its engines glowed blue, unlike any plasma burn they had seen before. Symbols were painted across the side, weathered yet proud. United Earth Fleet, Explorer Class. Earth? A junior officer whispered. But now they are gone. Extinct. Ryzek's tongue flicked nervously. He remembered the old stories. Humans who had once stood against empires, humans who had built ships of fire and steel, humans who had vanished after the silent wars. Could this wreckage be a ghost, or something worse? The unknown vessel hailed them. A voice came across the bridge speakers, calm, steady, and undeniably alive. This is Commander Elias Kane of the Earth Fleet vessel Dauntless. To any who hear this message, humanity has returned. The Drethi officers froze. Some looked terrified. Others simply stared at their captain for orders. Ryzek's heart pounded. If this was real, the galaxy was about to change. Open a channel, he ordered. The screen flickered, and the face of a human filled the view. Pale skin, sharp eyes, hair cut short. So similar to the drawings from the archives, yet alive, breathing, and commanding with quiet strength. I am Captain Ryzek of the Drethi Union, he said carefully. You cannot be what you claim. Humanity is dead. Kane's lips curled into a small, cold smile. We are very much alive. And we have not forgotten the galaxy that abandoned us. The silence that followed seemed to echo across the stars. The news spread like wildfire. Within days, every listening post, every merchant lane, every embassy whispered the same thing. Humans had returned. Some celebrated. Old allies who remembered humanity's brilliance whispered that hope had returned. Others trembled, recalling the destructive wars humanity once waged. But for Ryzek, one truth became clear as he stared at the human ship. The galaxy was about to learn what it meant to meet humanity again. The Dauntless drifted in the void like a silent predator. Its blue engines glowed faintly, pulsing against the backdrop of stars. On its bridge, Commander Elias Kane studied the incoming transmissions. Already, multiple alien channels were buzzing with fear and disbelief. The name human was spreading again after millennia of silence. Elias stood with hands behind his back, posture straight as steel. He knew this moment would shape the galaxy. They remember us, he said softly. Good. Fear is a language that never fades. His second officer, Lieutenant Aria Morgan, turned from her console. She was younger, but her eyes carried the same sharp focus. Captain Ryzek seemed unsettled. He didn't attack, even when we revealed who we are. Elias nodded. Because the Drethi still remember what humans were capable of. Their archives are filled with stories of our wars. They're wondering if we've come back stronger or weaker. Aboard the Silent Fang, Captain Ryzek paced his bridge. His crew's whispers cut through the silence. Humans are extinct, one officer muttered. They were legends, another hissed. Or nightmares, said a third. Ryzek raised a clawed hand to silence them. Legends do not appear in living form. He replayed Kane's words in his mind. Humanity had returned. But how? From where? And why now? He activated a secure channel to the Drethi High Council. Moments later, a shimmering projection appeared before him. Elder Vela, scaled and ancient, her eyes burning with suspicion. "You claim you saw a human?" she demanded. "I did not just see one," Rizek said firmly. "I spoke to him. Their ship bears the mark of Earth Fleet. They are alive." The council chamber grew silent. The elder's claws tapped against the stone table. "If this is true, the galaxy must prepare. Humanity once threatened the balance of power. If they rise again, they may do so with vengeance." Meanwhile, Elias Kane gathered his officers in the Dauntless's command room. The walls glowed with holographic maps of known alien territories. "We will not hide who we are," he began. "The galaxy abandoned us long ago. When Earth fell silent, they turned their backs and declared us extinct. Now they will see that humanity does not die quietly." A murmur of agreement spread across the officers. Lieutenant Morgan asked, "What is our mission, Commander? Do we seek peace or dominance?" Elias's gaze hardened. "We seek recognition. The galaxy will remember that humans are not shadows in their myths. We will remind them, through diplomacy if possible, through force if necessary." The crew's resolve grew heavy, like iron forging in fire. On distant worlds, the news spread like a storm. In the marketplace of the Avari Consortium, alien merchants argued in hushed tones. If humans return, trade will suffer. Their fleets once destroyed entire markets. In the halls of the Orion Dominion, warlords roared with laughter. If humans live, let them prove they still have teeth. In the neutral archives of the scholar clans, whispers echoed, "The age of silence is ending. The dangerous species awakens." Everywhere the galaxy braced for what came next. Captain Rizek could not sleep. His scales itched with unease. The humans were not supposed to exist, yet one stood alive before him, carrying himself with the calm of a predator. He finally ordered his ship's AI to replay the human transmission. The words burned into him. "Humanity has returned." If that was true, then the galaxy was already changed, and Rizek feared the change was only beginning. The Dauntless moved silently through the Drethi system, its engines pulsing with steady blue light. On the bridge, Commander Elias Kane stood like a statue, eyes locked on the streams of data pouring across the consoles. Every alien channel, every relay, every station was echoing the same rumor. Humans were back. He let the weight of that fact settle over the crew. For centuries, humanity had been erased from the galactic stage, reduced to myth and memory. Now, with one transmission, that silence had been broken. "Captain Rizek did not fire on us," Kane said finally, his voice calm, deliberate. "That means one thing. The galaxy remembers us, and it remembers enough to be afraid." Lieutenant Aria Morgan glanced up from her console, her face illuminated by the soft glow of holoscreens. "Fear can be an advantage, Commander. But it can also make them reckless." Kane gave the smallest of nods. "Then we'll show them why they should be careful." Aboard the Drethi warship Silent Fang, Captain Rizek's claws clicked against the floor as he paced the bridge. His crew's whispers were relentless. "Humans are extinct. They cannot be alive. The archives said they burned themselves out. No, they were too dangerous to simply vanish." Rizek silenced them with a hiss. He had spoken to one. He had seen the human's face. No archive could prepare him for the presence Kane carried in his voice. Calm, steady, and certain, like a blade pressed gently against the throat of the galaxy. He opened a secure channel. The shimmering projection of Elder Vela, leader of the Drethi Council, appeared. Her scales were pale with age, her eyes sharp as blades. "You disturb me with rumors, Captain," she said. Rizek bowed his head slightly. "Not rumors, proof, a human ship alive and functional." A human commander, Elias Kane, spoke to me. Their fleet markings were clear. They are not myths. Vela's eyes narrowed. For a long moment she said nothing. Then her voice dropped low. "If this is true, the galaxy must prepare. Humanity was not just another species. They were a storm. If they have returned, the storm will rise again." On the Dauntless, Kane gathered his senior officers in the command room. The walls shimmered with projected star maps, outlining trade routes, military outposts, and council borders. "We did not come here to hide," Kane began. "We came here to be seen. The galaxy abandoned us when Earth fell silent. They declared us extinct. That insult has stood for far too long." His officers exchanged looks, silent but united. Lieutenant Morgan's voice cut through the air. "What is our path, Commander? Do we extend a hand or a fist?" Kane's expression hardened. "We extend truth. If they accept us, we speak. If they fear us, we let them fear. And if they challenge us—" He paused, letting his gaze sweep across the room. "Then we remind them why humans were never forgotten." The crew straightened. In that moment, they were not just officers. They were the echo of a species rising again. Across the stars, the news spread like fire. On the trade stations of the Avari Consortium, merchants whispered nervously. "Humans ruin markets. Their wars collapse economies. In the halls of the Orion Dominion, armored warlords pounded their fists against stone tables. If humans live, let them prove their strength. Let us test their steel." In the vaulted libraries of the scholar clans, ancient keepers of records murmured, "The silence is broken. The most dangerous species has awakened." Everywhere, the galaxy braced for what came next. Back on the silent Fang, Ryzek could not rest. He played Kane's transmission again and again. "This is Commander Elias Kane of the Earth Fleet vessel Dauntless. To any who hear this message, humanity has returned." The words echoed in his mind like a prophecy. Humanity had not returned quietly. They had announced themselves like thunder, and thunder always carried the promise of a storm. Ryzek's scales shivered. For the first time in his long career, he felt the sharp bite of fear, not for himself, but for the galaxy. Because if Kane spoke the truth, then everything was about to change. The galaxy was restless. Every corner of space echoed with the same name, spoken in tones of awe, disbelief, or fear: humanity. In the Drethi capital world of Sareth, the council convened in a towering chamber carved from obsidian stone. Dozens of alien delegates gathered in anxious silence as Elder Vela took her place at the center. Her voice carried like a blade. "You have heard the whispers," she began. "They are not whispers anymore. A human ship has been sighted. A human commander has spoken. What was myth is now flesh. What was gone has returned." The delegates erupted in shouts. Some demanded immediate war, others urged negotiation. One elder hissed, "If they rise again, we will lose control of the trade routes. The balance will shatter." Vela silenced them with a gesture. "If humanity is alive, then the galaxy's fate hangs by a thread. We must decide: ally with them or destroy them before they rise." Meanwhile, aboard the Dauntless, Kane stood before his officers as the ship cruised through uncharted regions. His eyes scanned the star map, highlighting dozens of alien empires that now filled the void humanity once knew. "They think we were gone," Kane said, his voice low. "They believe the myths, that humanity destroyed itself. Let them believe it for now. But we will show them that our silence was not weakness. It was preparation." Lieutenant Morgan leaned forward, brow furrowed. "Commander, the Council will not stay silent. They will see us as a threat." Kane gave her a thin smile. "Good. Fear is the soil where respect grows." The bridge fell quiet. Every officer felt the weight of history pressing on their shoulders. They weren't just flying a ship. They were carrying the legacy of an entire species. Back on the Drethi ship Silent Fang, Captain Ryzek received new orders from the Council. "Shadow the humans," Elder Vela commanded through a secure channel. "Do not engage. Watch them. Learn what they are." Ryzek bowed his scaled head. "And if they prove dangerous? Then we will strike before the rest of the galaxy rallies to them," she hissed. The order left a bitter taste in his mouth. Ryzek remembered Kane's steady gaze, the confidence that radiated from every word. To destroy such a presence felt wrong, yet he knew the Council feared what humanity could become. He gave the order to follow the Dauntless, on board the human ship. The crew picked up the tale immediately. "Drethi vessel trailing us, sir," reported Morgan. "Keeping distance, but they're not hiding." Kane folded his arms. "Good. Let them watch. Let them see what humanity has become." He turned toward the observation deck, where the stars stretched endlessly. They think we are relics. They think we are alone. But the galaxy will soon learn. We are far from alone. Morgan frowned. Sir, what do you mean? Kane's lips curved into a faint smile. The Dauntless is not the only ship that survived. The bridge fell silent, the meaning sinking in. Across the galaxy, small signals began to stir. Silent frequencies, long dormant, awakened. Old Earth codes, encrypted and buried, suddenly came alive. Merchants spoke of strange sightings. Colonies swore they saw human-built outposts reactivating. And in hidden corners of space, ancient fleets began to move. The galaxy shuddered as it realized this was not the return of a single ship. It was the return of a people. Rizek sat in his command chair, claws gripping the arms tightly as he listened to intercepted transmissions. More ships, his officer whispered. Human signals from the rim sectors. This is no myth. This is an awakening. For the first time, Rizek admitted the truth to himself. Humanity had not returned to beg. They had returned to claim, and the galaxy was not ready. The galaxy had not felt this kind of fear in centuries. Rumors no longer whispered, they thundered. Humanity had returned, and with them came the possibility of war. On the Dauntless, Commander Elias Kane stood before his officers in the strategy chamber. The holographic map flickered, revealing signals across distant sectors. Dormant human stations were coming back online. Fleets hidden in forgotten systems were powering their engines for the first time in centuries. Kane's voice was steady, his tone sharp. The Council believes humanity was a myth. Let them see otherwise. They think we are one ship. Let them realize we are many. Lieutenant Aria Morgan stepped closer to the glowing map. If we reveal too much too fast, they'll unite against us. Even our strength could be crushed if every empire stands together. Kane's eyes narrowed. Then we divide them before they unite. Fear will guide their decisions. We will make some see opportunity, others see ruin. In that division, humanity will rise. In the Drethi capital, Elder Vela convened with representatives of the other great powers. The vast chamber echoed with voices from dozens of alien species. They cannot be allowed to rise again. A warlord from the Orion Dominion roared, his armored fist smashing against the table. Their weapons once ended empires, hissed an envoy from the Avari Consortium. But they also forged peace where none existed, argued a frail scholar. Do you not remember the treaties humans forced upon us? Not all their acts were destruction. The chamber boiled with conflict. Some wanted immediate war. Others whispered of alliances. Elder Vela silenced them all. You do not understand what we face, she said coldly. The humans are not merely back. They are prepared. Their silence was not weakness, it was patience. And patience makes predators stronger. Back aboard the Silent Fang, Captain Rizek listened in grim silence. He had followed the Dauntless for days, watching its every move. What unsettled him most was not the ship's weapons or technology, it was Kane himself. The man's presence carried authority that few alien leaders could match. Rizek muttered to himself, "He does not speak like one who seeks peace. He speaks like one who has already won," one of his officers interrupted. "Captain, new signals detected. Multiple human warships in the rim sectors. This is not a lone fleet." The bridge crew fell silent. Their eyes reflected the same thought. The galaxy was on the brink of something far greater than a single encounter. The Dauntless rendezvoused with another human ship, the Resolute. Its arrival was like a spark to dry leaves. For the first time in centuries, two human warships sailed side by side under the banner of Earth Fleet. On the Dauntless's observation deck, Kane and Morgan watched as the Resolute slid into formation. Morgan whispered, "It's real. We are not alone. Humanity is rebuilding." Kane's eyes burned with determination. "We were never gone. Only waiting. Now the galaxy will remember what it means to face us." In the Galactic Council chambers, panic deepened. Reports flooded in. Human fleets awakening across multiple sectors, colonies resurfacing, hidden outposts sending coded transmissions. The more the Council tried to suppress the news, the more it spread. For the first time in centuries, alien children whispered human names in fear. For the first time in centuries, soldiers polished their weapons in preparation for war. And for the first time in centuries, humanity was no longer a myth, They were a storm, rising fast. Captain Rizek stood at the edge of his bridge, staring at the two human ships. He knew the Council wanted them destroyed before more appeared. But as he watched the humans stand shoulder to shoulder, an uneasy thought clawed into his mind. If humanity was truly back, then no empire, not even the Drethi, could face them alone. Perhaps destruction was no longer possible. Perhaps survival meant something else, something Rizek did not dare say aloud. The neutral station known as the Stone of Concord floated in silence at the edge of Drethi space. It had not hosted a true gathering in centuries. Dust still clung to its outer rings, and half its beacons flickered with uneven light. But today, that silence cracked open. Two ships approached, one Drethi, one human. The silent Fang slid into position first, bristling with defensive escorts. Moments later, the Dauntless eased from the gate, its blue engines pulsing like the calm heartbeat of a predator. For the first time in living memory, humanity's vessel came to sit at a table prepared by alien hands. Inside, the station's council hall echoed with low voices. Delegates from the Drethi, Ivari, Orion Dominion, and Scholar clans filled the chamber. Most had never seen a human in the flesh. They whispered about myths come alive, about whether fear was wiser than diplomacy. Then Commander Elias Kane entered. He wore a uniform of dark steel gray, no weapon, no ornament. His stride was steady, eyes sharp. Lieutenant Arya Morgan followed close, silent but watchful. The chamber shifted as every alien turned to see them. For many, it was like watching a story step off the page. Elder Vela raised her scaled hand. "We recognize humanity's envoy. Speak, Commander Kane, and tell us why your kind walks again among the stars." Kane paused at the center of the hall. His voice was calm, deep, carrying across the room without strain. Humanity never left. We endured. The galaxy wrote us off as myth, but myths do not send fleets. We return not as ghosts, but as witnesses. We have seen your empires rise while you told yourselves we were gone. Now we are here to remind you, humanity stands. The chamber rippled with murmurs. Some scoffed. Others stared in silence. A Dominion warlord barked a laugh. "Remind us. One ship, two ships, a handful of signals in the dark? You are bold, human, but boldness is not strength. Why should the galaxy make room for you?" Kane's eyes met his without flinching. "Because you already have." Confusion spread. Kane continued. "Your borders, your trade routes, your councils, all shaped by the wars we once fought. Your strength was forged in the fire of resisting us whether you admit it or not. We were absent, but our shadow never left you. Humanity is not asking for room. We are taking back what was always ours, a place at the table." The warlord bristled, but Elder Vela intervened. "And what do you offer, human? What price will you pay for this seat?" Kane studied the gathered faces. "We offer warning. We have returned with fleets. They will not remain hidden. If you treat us as prey, you will face storms you cannot contain. But if you treat us as equals, then humanity will stand beside you as we once did, sometimes as rivals, sometimes as allies, but never as shadows." The scholar delegate, a tall insectoid with glowing antennae, leaned forward. "And if the galaxy chooses to deny you?" Kane's answer was cold. "Then the galaxy will discover it cannot erase us twice." Captain Rizek, standing at the side of the Drethi delegation, felt the weight of every word. He had feared Kane's arrogance would ignite war in the chamber. But instead, what he saw was something more dangerous: conviction. Humanity was not pleading nor threatening blindly. They were laying truth like iron on the floor. Elder Vela's gaze swept the chamber. She saw fear, anger, calculation, and curiosity. The council was not united. That alone was dangerous, she hissed softly. The Drethi acknowledge humanity's presence. But acknowledgement is not acceptance. We will deliberate. The council adjourned. Delegates filed out in silence. Their whispers carried down the stone halls. Later, in a quiet observation deck, Kane and Rizek stood side by side, the first true moment without an audience. The stars stretched before them, cold and endless. "You risked much today," Rizek said. "So did you," Kane replied, Ryzek's tail flicked. You think yourself prepared? Perhaps you are, but this galaxy will not bend easily. Kane's lips curved faintly. Neither will humanity. Ryzek studied him for a long moment. He saw no fear, no hesitation. Only a steady certainty that unsettled him more than any weapon. Do you seek war truly? The Drethi captain asked. No, Kane said simply. But we will not run from it. For the first time, Ryzek understood what terrified the galaxy most. Humanity did not roar to prove themselves. They simply stood, and in their standing, the galaxy trembled. That night, the scholar delegate sent encrypted messages across the neutral channels. Humanity is real. Humanity has fleets. Prepare for change. The Orion Dominion warlord armed his ships and called for readiness. The Avari merchants began calculating what human trade could mean. And the Drethi Council sharpened its claws, torn between fear and opportunity. Humanity's presence had fractured the chamber in one meeting. The storm Kane promised was already forming. On board the Dauntless, Kane returned to his crew. Lieutenant Morgan asked, "Do you think they will listen?" Kane looked out at the Stone of Concord, glowing faintly against the stars. Some will. Some won't, but it doesn't matter. Humanity has spoken. The galaxy cannot unhear us. Morgan's eyes narrowed. And if they answer with fire? Kane's gaze hardened. Then they will learn the fire we kept burning in the dark. The crew stood taller at his words. For centuries, they had been a forgotten people. Now they were a rising storm, and storms do not ask permission. The Stone of Concord had gone silent again, but the echoes of humanity's return thundered across every star lane. What had begun as a whisper was now a roar shaking entire empires. Fleets maneuvered, markets shifted, and council chambers filled with voices demanding answers. On the Dauntless, Commander Elias Kane stood at the observation window, watching the stars as if they themselves were waiting. Behind him, Lieutenant Aria Morgan approached with a report. Confirmed, she said. More human signals detected in the rim sectors. Colonies once abandoned are awake. Stations long silent are transmitting Earth codes again. It's not just us anymore. Humanity is rising everywhere. Kane's jaw tightened, not with fear, but with resolve. Good. The galaxy expected one ship. Now they will see we were never one voice. We were always many. Morgan hesitated. The Drethi Council is divided. Some want alliance. Some want extermination. And the Orion Dominion, they prepare for war. Kane finally turned, his eyes cold steel. Then they prepare for a war they cannot win. In the Drethi capital, Elder Vela presided over another storm of arguments. Delegates from dozens of empires filled the chamber, their voices colliding like waves against stone. The humans must be destroyed before their fleets multiply, shouted a Dominion general. They can be allies. Do you not see the trade potential? An Avari merchant countered. They are dangerous, whispered a scholar elder. But they are also necessary. The galaxy has grown soft. Perhaps we need them. Vela listened silent. She had lived through centuries of council debates, but this one felt different. It was not about borders or tariffs. It was about survival, perhaps not of the Drethi or the Dominion, but of the galaxy itself. Finally, she spoke. We can no longer deny it. Humanity stands. The question is not if they exist, but what place they will take, and whether we survive beside them. Her words rippled through the chamber. For the first time, none argued. They only watched her with unease. On the Silent Fang, Captain Ryzek watched the Dauntless glide through space, its sister ship Resolute at its side. He had been ordered to prepare targeting solutions, to search for weaknesses, to test humanity's armor. But he found none. Not because the ships were invulnerable, but because their greatest weapon was not their hulls, nor their cannons. It was the will of the humans aboard them. Ryzek admitted to himself what he had long denied. To fire upon them would not end humanity. It would only invite its full weight upon the galaxy, and he wondered quietly if perhaps standing beside them was the wiser choice. The galaxy braced. In distant star systems, human fleets reactivated, their signals flaring like beacons. Ancient colonies emerged from the shadows. Even old civilian transports, battered and forgotten, flew the Earth fleet insignia with pride. The myth was gone. Humanity was no longer a whisper of the past. They were a presence of the now. Kane stood before his crew one final time. The warships around them were not many compared to the vast empires, but they carried something more powerful than numbers. Centuries ago, Kane began, the galaxy buried us. They wrote stories of our end. But here we stand. Not ghosts, not myths, people, breathing, building, fighting. Today they must face a truth they cannot erase. Humanity does not vanish. Humanity endures. The crew erupted in cheers, their voices echoing through the ship. Kane raised his hand for silence. The galaxy has a choice. Accept us or resist us. If they resist, they will learn we are not the species they abandoned. We are stronger, we are wiser, and we do not kneel. In the shadows of the Stone of Concord, Elder Vela whispered to herself as she watched the human fleet signals multiply across the maps. The storm has come. And in his quarters aboard the Silent Fang, Rizek closed his eyes, hearing Kane's voice in memory. Humanity had returned, not asking, not begging, simply standing. For the first time in his long life, the Drethi captain wondered not if his people could fight humanity, but if they should, because he knew the answer already. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity was written off as a myth, but myths don't command fleets. Across 7 parts, we've seen the galaxy tremble as humans return to claim their place among the stars. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new chapter in the galaxy's history. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because more epic HFY stories are coming soon. Humanity has returned, and the stars will never be the same again.